Welcome back to the History Show here on Uxbridge FM, and Ken Pearce is back. This one will be interesting to my dad, I'm sure, because he is a bus and tram fanatic. This is a little conversation about electric trams in Uxbridge. Ken, when you're ready.
Thank you. In January 1904, tram lines were being laid in Uxbridge High Street, and metal poles had been erected at intervals near the curb on both sides of the road, to which overhead wires were being connected. Yes, the electric trams were coming. The London United Tramways was already operating a service from Shepherd's Bush to Southall. But now the company had obtained powers to extend their network all the way to Uxbridge, with a terminus where the Nonna Rosa restaurant is today. A trial run took place in April, and then on June the 2nd, the official inspection of the new line took place. The news caused quite a stir locally. Parts of the route had been decorated with flags, and a large number of people assembled to see this first vehicle. Photographs of the event show that school children had been released to witness the arrival of the first electric tram. On board was Colonel York, Chief Inspector of the Board of Trade, together with the officials of the company and local dignitaries. The inspection car came down the high street from Shepherd's Bush, halted outside the Chequers Hotel, where lunch was served to those on board. And so the new tramway was launched and was a notable landmark in the town's history. The trams themselves could be driven from either end, so at the terminus the driver just had to walk through the car. Meanwhile, the conductor would swing the back of the seats over so that passengers always faced the way that the tram was going. The driver had no cab to protect him. He just stood in the open air in all weathers, protected, of course, by suitable clothing. And the top deck of the tram was open to the sky as well. So again, passengers had to wear suitable clothing when they could. The maximum speed of these trams was 10 miles an hour. And I have, in fact, a copy of a court order because a driver was summoned on occasion for exceeding the 10-mile per hour limit. The fare from Shepherd's Bush to Uxbridge was 5p, and it was Route 7 of the London United Tramways. The main depot for the trams was at Hanwell, but there was a small depot at Hillingdon Heath, just opposite the end of New Road, with a generating station and room for storing several trams. One problem with the trams was that they were so noisy, rattling and clanging their way along the road, and concern was expressed at Hillingdon Church that the constant din of the trams passing by would disturb the services. So the company agreed to bury the tram lines near that church in wooden blocks instead of the usual stone sets, in the hope that that would deaden the noise. Regular tram service then now commenced in 1904, but what happened next could not be predicted. Londoners, in large numbers, began to travel to our area at weekends and bank holidays for a day in the country. Our district was then still rural, you see, being a market town surrounded by villages, farms, and countryside. And in 1901, to give you an example, the population of Cowley was 869. The population of Ickenham was 329 only. Once they reached Uxbridge, then, the visitors on the trams could walk to these places, as well as Denham and Iver, and have what was really a day in the country. The trams began to run in June, and by the end of the year, this account appeared. I quote, "The electric car has transformed what was hitherto the quiet extremity of a busy little place into a region of mighty throng, to the great pecuniary advantage of those shopkeepers whose business has any connection with refreshment. It's a wonderful 5 penny worth of locomotion, this ride from London to Uxbridge. Not that everyone is altogether pleased with this rush to Uxbridge. The place has been likened to pandemonium. Hundreds are turned out loose here on a Sabbath day, and one publican has even been known to declare that he doesn't care for money." Not sure I believe that. However, this tourist invasion continued until the outbreak of war in 1914. The trams continued to run until 1936, when they were replaced by trolleybuses. One of those early trams has survived, and after a complete restoration, is now on display at the Tramways Museum at Crouch in Derbyshire. There's an interesting collection of photos of trams on the museum's website.
There we go. 5p to get from Shepherd's Bush to Uxbridge.
Yes.
And a day out in the country to Uxbridge. Fantastic.
It was quite amazing. Quite amazing. Yeah. Every pub, every restaurant was expanded. Other premises took to offering refreshment, because there was money to be made every weekend. My mother was in service at the time, domestic servant at Ealing, although the family lived in West Drayton Road, Hillingdon. So when she had a day off, she would come down on the tram from Ealing to Hillingdon and visit the family. But when it came to going back to Ealing at night, she couldn't get on the tram. They were all packed with Londoners returning. So she had to get the tram to Uxbridge, stay on the vehicle at the terminus, and then go back to Ealing. That was the only way she could get back.
A kind of rush hour.
Indication of the enormous traffic. Yeah.
There you go. Thanks, Ken. We'll catch up December, I guess. Wow, it's Christmas already. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.